So I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'd like to take nominations for chairperson.
I nominate Maura.
I second.
Any discussion?
Go Maura.
In
Okay.
favor?
All in favor?
Oh, you're not raising a hand, Jack.
Hey, just let the record know that Jim raised his hand. Oh, and by the way, Jim,
Yes.
can you
Yeah,
notate where you're?
yeah, I'm in a private residence in Chilmark, Mass. There's nobody in the room with me presently, but someone may come in and out.
Okay. All right.
So our votes have to be by roll call. When we have the-
Yeah, so let's do a roll call vote on.
Yes.
Maura first. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, then. All right, so
I
I'm
don't
gonna,
get to vote, so.
I'm gonna turn it over to you, Maura.
Okay. I guess we'll do a review of minutes of 2/16/22.
I don't think any of us are on the committee.
That's correct. I believe. Have you ever- you have done-
I was not on this committee now.
Yeah, Don, Jim, and,
How do,
although it says in attendance, Don Dutton, Jim Baker.
Oh, yeah.
Roderick, are you sure you weren't in attendance too? Especially we're here.
can you hear us, Jim?
What's that?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. There's a bit of an echo, but
Okay. It says you were in attendance for this meeting.
on February 16th,
Yeah,
on February 16th, that was before the election, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Um,
You said, you like, you're in the minutes here, you seconded motions and.
All right, let me, I did read the minutes. So I didn't have any objections to them, so I'll move to approve them if my name's on there, but I don't recall the meeting. But is anybody, neither one of you were on it though, right?
I think we're allowed to second. And then I think, my understanding is, if we think that's are accurate, we can still vote in favor, even though we weren't actually in attendance. So,
I don't know, I've never had this happen before.
I mean, this,
Hmm.
it's come up in other committees that I've watched meetings of.
Okay,
So, I mean, I'll second.
okay, thanks, Dan.
So
Okay.
roll call vote.
All right, Tammy?
Can I abstain? I think I can abstain.
Yeah, Jim votes yes, and the other two. you
Is that-
say-
that's
say
enough
that
to
you
make
weren't
it pass?
present. Yeah, I'll ask Jim O'Shaughnessy
Okay.
just to be sure, but this is so
Okay.
weird that this has never happened before,
Yeah.
you know, like it just, it's
Okay.
odd.
So.
Okay.
abstain, I guess.
Jim?
Yes.
Myself abstain.
Okay, thank you.
We still pass or whatever.
Okay.
Motion still passes.
All right, committee goals.
Committee goals.
So I,
Yeah, no, yeah, this is your, this kind of helps Diane, this committee, so she's the head of HR and it's a personnel committee, so. I mean, certainly I'm involved and Matt's involved with different areas, like Matt handles the facilities and maintenance people and we have an IT department. And then there's the teachers and the paras and the administrators, so we certainly collaborate with this committee with regard to, she'll bring job descriptions here and ask you to read them and review them and get feedback. That's one goal of the committee. But Diana can elaborate. She's been kind of working on this.
So really, one of the major goals of the committee would be job descriptions. So last year, every meeting, job descriptions were brought forth. And that's really what last year was committed to do, was approve job descriptions. So we're not done. So that should be, in my opinion, a major goal for this school year to keep working on job descriptions.
I think you might want to move up here because I think Jim is having difficulties listening.
You couldn't hear
Yeah.
it, Diane?
it sounds
Okay.
like you're far away in a long hallway, Diana.
Well, I'm
Okay.
overdue for a haircut, so I don't know if I want to get closer, but
So Jim, I mentioned that last year our priority were job
Yep.
descriptions. And we haven't finished job
Yeah.
descriptions.
Right. I remember now. I would. Yeah, okay.
So I really, in my opinion, I think job descriptions should be a big priority for this school year so we can get them all up to date.
Okay, will that do it? Will this do it? Except we get new ones all the time, but
Right, so, and, I mean, the next item on the agenda is job descriptions. So I
Right.
can go into that, or we can finish up with committee goals, it's, you know.
well, I have a couple of goals that I'd like to suggest.
Okay.
I saw on there was a sheet that was attached to this that had a goal of working with the administration to implement the strategic plan.
Yep.
I'd like to define it a little bit more, because on strategic target 2, objective A, regarding employee retention, we are tasked to work along with the rest of the team to do a number of things involving redoing data and reporting trends to personnel committee. We had our last meeting in personnel, as I recall, was about the Marshall Plan and the implementation of the Marshall Plan. So I would like to have a goal regarding ongoing briefings on implementation of the Marshall evaluation, and also on a review process for any employees not covered in the Marshall evaluation. I think that's an important part of the strategic plan. I think that's part of our area.
I think that's fine, Jim. I actually agree that the evaluation process, we're already, you know, provided that principals can be principals and aren't teaching phys ed due to staffing shortages.
Right.
We should be able to do the plan, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it that we aren't out of the woods yet. We aren't. We're opening, we're doing great. Staff retention, I think that we should really work to find out what staff would like, what would help staff to stay. So for example, Diana and I are meeting with staff in the fall, winter, and spring, again, in small groups like we did at the end of last year, to ask them the 3 big questions: what is working, what is not working, and what do you think that we need to do differently as a district to support our students and you as staff members? I think this committee should reflect on that feedback. There's nothing to hide in it. It's good feedback. And they're really honest. It is pretty brutal. Like the more they sit with us, the more by the 3rd day, the word had gotten around that we were listening, and it was a lot more wide open once word had gotten around that we were listening. So I'm anticipating that in the fall. So when you think about staff retention, you think about 3 things. Have they been supported? Do they feel valued? Right? And have they been given clear goals and objectives and given feedback on how to meet them and support for meeting those goals and objectives? In the post, I'm cautiously optimistic that we're in the post-pandemic world, but that's a priority, and it was a priority before we went into the pandemic. This isn't new or something that we didn't think of before. You just can't deal with it when you're literally trying to keep the building open every day. You know, when Matt's cleaning floors or doing whatever he's doing to run the building, or Diana and I are helping out at Bakey. I mean, we love the people there. We want to help them, but you can't do things like evaluations and talk to people and try to figure out how to help the culture when the culture is literally one of minute-to-minute survival. And I'm optimistic. It's going very, very well this summer. So I think really, Jim, in my opinion, the goal is staff retention. The Marshall evaluation is a step towards staff retention. Honest, good collegial feedback, dialogue with administrators, relationships with administrators. Another piece to staff retention is figuring out what's working and not working, because what happened in one of those meetings this spring was I said to a teacher who was leaving the district, I said, if we fix the grading system, would you have stayed? And the teacher said yes. That was good feedback.
Mhm.
And I talked about that when I met with the teachers about the grading over the summer. I said, I kind of heard this. What are you hearing from your colleagues that are new teachers? Because we got the veteran teachers to come in this summer. They were great. We had a group of 25 people or more come in from 2 buildings, middle and high school. And there were people who did not agree with the change, but they worked together. And they came to the documents that were presented to you and that will be public tonight. I am optimistic that even though some of them didn't agree, they felt heard and valued. And we did a survey and asked them, did you feel heard and valued? They're like, yeah, I don't agree, but some of them were great. Some of them loved it. 30% of people aren't going to agree with whatever we do, but for the personnel committee, the goal of staff retention really falls into those 3 buckets. So I would push us as a team and the board to say, what are we going to do to meet that goal for staff retention? It's been a 10-year problem in this district at least. That's all I have for data is 10 years. We are losing teachers. The first day I started here, Brian Stack said, I lost my whole math team last year, the year prior. The whole high school math team left. So this is an issue that we are going to grapple with. And I do agree that it's not just pay, but pay does come up, particularly with recruitment. So what we're seeing out of the exit interviews, so I was going to bring up, Jim, the exit interviews, analysis, presentation of the exit interview information and sharing with people what's happening and what we're hearing from them is really important because we are learning from that. It is working. Diane has met with every single employee except for a handful already. It's a big deal. So Jim, would the goal be to try to figure out specific steps to retain staff? And one of them would be the implementation of the Marshall model. Like, how do you guys want to voice this? Right, I've said a lot. So how do we voice? Like, a goal should be tied to like a metric, an outcome, right? Like, what is we want to decrease the number of people who leave the district, or we want to conduct X number of exit interviews, reflect on that data, and make a plan. I mean, we have to have a goal that's tied to, like, so if you say implementing the Marshall model, is the goal to have 100% of staff evaluated in the Marshall model this year, and then check against the metric of how many people that really happened with? Because certainly the admins are going to focus on the people who are new and not on continuing contract because they have to make decisions. So there's a hierarchy, right? Like, if they get stretched for time, they go to the new teachers' classrooms first, or they should, because they want to support them the most because they're new. The people on continuing contract usually are veteran settled teachers, and they're looking for feedback and growth more than mentorship, like the initial kind of mentorship. Another thing that would help is setting up a better mentoring program. Christine is working really hard on that. So those are things to think about. Do you have any other?
No, I mean, we heard a lot. So I do think it's important that we look at what we heard, report it to you, and make a plan based on what we've heard. The important piece to all of this is if the staff feels they're telling us really what their issues are, and we don't show them that we're trying to improve them, that's going to be our problem.
The reason I specified the Marshall Plan is because under page 6, number 6, operationalize, it says shared accountability and regular report and monitor results. So the Marshall Plan covers a lot of different areas, or the Marshall review or evaluation covers a lot of areas. And I think those are all areas that the Personnel Committee should be familiar with.
What would be a reasonable goal to set if we were to set?
I think the reasonable goal is because we don't know really.
Is it like 70%, or is that right?
I think he just wants training.
I just want briefings on it. I don't want to set a goal for it because with the situation that Tom outlined, what I want to know is get quarterly briefings on how it's going, how it's being implemented, so that we have a track to follow on if things aren't going properly.
Yeah.
So that the people that need to be involved are made aware, and the involvement happens to try to make whatever tweaks and improvements there can't possibly be made. It's kind of in alignment with the whole strategic plan, that the discussion that we had over many months to get the plan that we have. It's a process, and we need to be involved in that process. And I think through the Marshall Plan, we can get feedback on areas that we should be involved in as the Personnel Committee.
So I think that what Jim's saying is the goal is to have a quarterly update on the implementation of the Marshall Plan.
Right.
That's a
And
goal.
also the review process for employees that are outside that plan? How's that going?
Yep,
Because not everybody's covered by that.
yep, I agree that it's professional staff. It's not paras.
Yeah,
It's not support staff. So we'll also give a quarterly update on the evaluations for all other employees. Is that what you're asking for, Jim?
yeah, that would be great.
That's totally reasonable. That's fine.
Mhm.
I mean, we can't talk, obviously, it has to be in like gross, we can't identify people. Like, we'll
Sure.
just talk, you know,
Right.
but I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
Could we also talk about, Diana and I, we're trying to hold ourselves accountable to have these meetings with staff to work on culture and listen to people about their concerns. So we'd like to report out quarterly to the group and probably to the board about what we're seeing, because we want people to know that we're taking, you know, the steps that we can take to work on employee retention. I mean, you can't, it's a brutal market out there. Like I had 3 superintendents call me today and said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how I'm gonna open school. They had 3 employees that they wouldn't release that we wanted to hire.
Oh,
3 different districts. They're like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. The person doesn't want to be here anymore. If they don't want to be here, I don't want them here, right? Why would you want an employee in your district that doesn't want to be there? They want to come to Sanborn. So normally we would just release them, and they're like, I can't release them. I have to wait until I get someone to take their job because we're so short staffed. That's never happened. It's never happened.
3 in 1
So-
hour.
Yeah, in 1 hour we had 3 phone calls. It was weird. We're like, what's kismet or something.
wow.
So I think these are good things. The job descriptions are good. Those are probably 3 pretty good things to talk about this year, if everyone's okay with that.
Is number 1 staff retention?
I think staff
Commercial.
retention, yeah, I think staff retention is the most important thing that we're working on in education. It's not just Sanborn, it's everywhere.
You said 3, I'm trying to delineate.
Oh, thanks, yeah.
2 will be the updates on the Marshall Plan, 3 is job work, complete job descriptions.
Yeah, job
And this-
descriptions.
So number 1 is what has to do with staff retention, and do we have a measurable goal?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, look, we would like to be able to reduce the number of people who leave the district. That would be the goal, you know, but I don't really know that it's reasonable for any of us to say that we can have a direct control over that. Right? It's kind of like,
Not in 1 year, I don't like that. It seems like an ambitious
yeah,
goal.
I think the goal would be to analyze potential levers or potential action steps to help with staff retention. Because then we can just talk about the data, the gestalt of it all. Like the grading thing didn't surprise me. I had heard that other people had left because of the grading. The master schedule at the high school that I was just working on, so when we didn't meet for the other committee meeting, I spent the time with Jen working on the schedule because we're learning a lot about what's going on in high school, and it's going really well. But it was really interesting. So equity is something that helps with staff retention, right? But I don't know, those are theories that we're talking about. We need to test them in the culture by asking about them. Directly asking, how you feel that things are equitable? What are the inequities that you see? I've done a lot of research on culture this summer. All 3 of my courses at Northeastern were culture, consultation, and situational leadership. So it was all about culture, really, right? Like, what are we going to do? So I have a lot of ideas, but I think those 3 are the way to go, right? What steps could we take for staff retention? What's going on with the Marshall Plan and non-Marshall Plan and job descriptions? This committee may have to meet a little more than 20, 30 minutes a month to get all that talked about.
Now, you said that you were meeting with the staff 3 times. You say spring, fall, and winter.
Mhm.
That would,
And maybe what we should do is say, we'll give you an update each time we do a round
Yeah.
instead of quarterly, right? Because it makes sense to just do it.
Yeah,
Well-
like in facilities, Matt does his business administrators report.
Yep.
Maybe you could do something like that for personnel.
Yeah, we'll have a Rooney report.
A who?
A Rooney
The
report.
Rooney report.
Rooney report. Okay. Yep.
Rooney report.
okay,
Good.
that sounds good.
Yep.
All right, moving on to job descriptions.
Okay, so I just wanted to explain what we did last year. Last year, what I would do is reach out to the various departments, special ed, paras, intervention teachers, etc., facilities. And I asked the department heads to write up job descriptions for each of their employees and each type of employee. And then I would email them to the committee ahead of time for you all to review. Then we would meet, and rather than taking the time to read each job description was put up for approval and then voted on. So that's how it was done in the past. Believe it or not, just doing it that way, we only got through, Jim, we would only get through 3, 4, 5 a meeting.
Right.
In that
Right.
amount of time. So it sounds, oh, this is great. We'll review everything ahead of time. Everything will go very quickly at the meeting, but it does actually take longer than you think. So that's what was done in the past. If you want me to continue to provide job descriptions that will be review ahead of time, I can do that for your review. And then we can talk and vote about them at that time. So whatever you want me to do, I will do.
I personally would like that because it helps me prepare.
Right? Yeah. me too. And if I send you 10 and we only get through 5, we only get through 5, and the remainder we'll do the next meeting.
How many, I'm just curious, how many job descriptions are there in the district?
So we probably approved 20, 25 last year, and we probably have 20, 25 more to go.
Mhm.
This is really good for the organization.
I mean, our job descriptions, some of them date back to 1987. Yeah.
It's like the policies when I was hired.
Yeah.
The policies were literally antiquated and not very well followed.
Okay.
And I do need to ask for approval while we're talking about job descriptions. So I do need to disclose on the bottom of all the job descriptions that have been approved, a discrimination line. So I need, and that we're an equal opportunity employer. So do I have your permission to do that, or would you like to wait until we talk more in depth about job descriptions at the next meeting?
What's the line again? Diana, I couldn't,
Oh, sorry. I just need to make a disclosure that we're an EEOC employer and
Right.
that we not discriminate. I
Right.
just need that to the bottom of all the job descriptions.
I'm fine with that if everyone else is, yeah.
Okay.
It's just a legal cover.
Do we
Yeah,
need to
that
do a
we're-
motion
It's
on
very
that?
important. No, she just wanted to run it by the committee, so no one, what she's doing is being transparent that they reviewed these 20, 25 job descriptions last year, and she's adding something to them that wasn't in those conversations. So she just wants cover if anyone asks that you all are okay with that.
Okay.
Jim, are you okay with that?
yes,
Thank you.
That's it for me.
All right.
Okay.
do we need a vote on the goals to approve
Yeah,
them?
you should vote on the goals.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to approve the goals for the year? We have 3 goals, which will be, most important, will be staff retention. We'll do quarterly update of the Marshall evaluation and other evaluations, and the third was to approve more job descriptions.
Okay, I'd like to amend what Maura just said. From other evaluations to other employees not covered under the Marshall Plan. Or just any employees not covered under the Marshall evaluation. Because other evaluations could be many different things.
Sure. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, not covered,
Not covered,
it's not covered under Marshall evaluations.
yeah, for any employees not covered in the Marshall evaluation.
Okay.
We just talked about
Thanks.
that.
So I'll move to approve.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
We need a roll call vote.
Yes, for me.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, what time does the plane take off? Every time you're wearing that, I feel like you're.
I tried it without it, but for some reason, my mic isn't working. My computer mic
Yeah.
on my 7-year-old computer. But this
All right.
works fine.
Are you in, I can't remember who's in policy this year. You are, right? Oh,
I
you're
am.
not?
I am.
You're out of policy.
I was not placed on the policy committee.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, Heather's on it. I'm on it.
Heather? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Tammy,
Do we want to?
I bought pizza, and if you'd like a piece of pizza to hold you over, you are welcome to have one, but you'll probably go home because we don't start till 6:30.
I don't think we don't start till 6, so just
Right.
somewhere.
The board meeting starts at 6:30.
Do you want to
Which
adjourn
we
the
need-
meeting?
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 5:15.